Good morning, Year 9. So today I'm going to be talking to you about the BTEC Technical Award in Sport. So first of all, I'm going to talk about what you would study if you were to choose a BTEC Sport. So in Component 1, that's all about preparing participants to take part in sport and physical activity. So in Component 1, we look at the different types and provision of sport and physical activity available for different types of participants and the barriers to participation. We look at ways to overcome the barriers to increase participation in sport and physical activity. We look at equipment and technological advances. And finally, we look at how to prepare our bodies for participation in sport and physical activity. In Component 2, that's about taking part and improving other participants' sporting performance. So we look at the components of fitness and their effects on performance. We look at actually taking part in practical sport. We look at the roles of officials, and we look at applying methods and sporting drills to improve other participants' sporting performance. So in this component, this is the one that's most like your PE lessons at the moment. And finally, in Component 3, we look at developing fitness to improve other participants' performance in sport and physical activity. So we look at the importance of fitness, the different types of fitness for performance in sport and physical activity, and the body and fitness testing. So this content is very, very similar to the theoretical content that you'll learn in Year 7, 8 and 9 when you do your fitness units. So the BTEC Sport qualification is a vocational qualification, which means the skills that you will learn are directed towards the sport sector, as opposed to an academic qualification where you largely learn theoretical content. And the way that vocational qualifications are assessed are slightly different to usual academic qualifications, which would typically be your GCSEs. So you can see that there are 3 components which we've already discussed, and they've got slightly different weightings. We've got 30% for Component 1, 30% for Component 2, and 40% for Component 3. Now, Components 1 and 2, they're sat internally in terms of an internal assessment, and you'll complete Pearson set assignments. These are released twice a year, and you'll sit those in school. Your Component 3 is sat towards the back end of Year 11 when you sit your normal exams, and that's externally marked. So the grading is also slightly different in vocational subjects. So in your BTEC Sport, we don't use the numerical system like you would in your GCSEs. We use the BTEC Technical Sport grading, and you can see the numerical grade equivalent there. So we really look at the level 2 pass, which is equivalent to a grade 4. We look at level 2 merit, equivalent to slightly higher than a grade 5, and level 2 distinction, which would be equivalent to a grade 7. So let's look at some of the results that we have at the Albion Academy. So last year, in summer 2022, we had 78% of children achieving a 4 or above in BTEC Sport. We achieved 38% of our children achieving 5 or above, and 20% of our children achieving 7 or above. So really strong results there from last year's Year 11. So what will a BTEC Sport do for you? So it will give you a taste of what the sector's like. So we look at different scenarios. So in terms of your assessment, you're given different scenarios and you have to apply your knowledge to those different scenarios. So we look at actually what working in the sports sector would be like and applying your knowledge to those scenarios. It allows you to gain transferable skills and confidence that will help you in the world today and prepare you for your futures. Give you opportunities to apply learning from your other GCSE subjects to everyday vocational scenarios and work contexts. It allows you to build applied knowledge and skills that show an aptitude for further learning both in the sector and more widely. Okay, let's look at what career paths a BTEC Sport might lead you towards. So we've got athlete, sports coach, martial arts instructor, sports events manager, fitness instructor or personal trainer, outdoor activities instructor, PE teacher, performance sports scientist, sports doctor. Got sports psychologists, sports physiotherapists, sports journalist, performance analysts, health trainer, dietitian, sports official, for example a referee, sports centre or a health club manager, or a lifeguard. And to be honest, I could go on and on and on. There are lots of career paths that would be supported by studying a BTEC Sport. Okay, so I'm going to address some questions that are frequently asked when I'm discussing BTEC Sport with students. So the first question I get is BTEC Sport the same as Key Stage 3 PE? And my answer is always the same. No, because it's mainly classroom based. And we do some elements of practical in components 1 and 2, but it's really important that you know that BTEC Sport is different to PE. It is not PE, it is classroom based, where we look at the theoretical elements of component 1, component 2 and component 3 with some practical elements mixed in there as well. Another question that I'm often asked is, why would I choose to do BTEC Sport even if I don't want to pursue a career in sport? Well, actually you'll learn lots of transferable skills that are really desirable to employers in other sectors. So for example, there's a really heavy emphasis on teamwork and leadership skills, and those skills would be desirable in whichever sector you would wish to pursue later on in life. Who teaches BTEC Sport? It's myself, Mr. Walton, and Mr. Wild. So between us we've got 17 years experience teaching BTEC Sport, and traditionally we get really strong results. Is BTEC Sport just for boys? And I often get asked that question because it is primarily myself and Mr. Wild that teach BTEC Sport, but the answer is no, BTEC Sport is for everybody. So finally, if you have any questions or if you need me to explain something in more detail, then feel free to come and speak to me in the PE office, which is located in the sports hall, or drop me an email, and my email is listed there. Thank you very much for listening.